How's it going, everybody? So in today's video, we're going to be talking about a pretty sensitive subject that's probably crossed your mind at least maybe once, maybe even twice, is should I leave my Jiu Jitsu academy or should I stay? So we're going to talk about that right now. How's it going, everybody? My name is Chasen. I'm a Jiu Jitsu black belt. I'm a full-time Jiu Jitsu instructor. So if you guys like all things Jiu Jitsu, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button down below. Really hitting the like button really helps me in the crazy world of YouTube get noticed. So I appreciate it greatly. Also, subscribe. Wouldn't hurt as well either. So today we're going to really be talking about a very sensitive subject that probably every Jiu Jitsu person thinks about once or twice in their career is, should I leave my Jiu Jitsu academy? Should I go to another school? Why or why not? And today's video kind of sparked from actually a question that I got asked. I got asked from, we'll just call him Adam, just to keep his name safe. But Adam was starting to train out of school, and actually is still training at this school. He hasn't made up his decision yet, so hopefully this may help Adam in this video, that he picked the school because it was just close to his house, which is how most people pick a jiu-jitsu school, is they just pick the one that's closest to them. He enjoyed the vibe of the school. He liked the instructor. He met him, which is great. And he started training the techniques, and he was learning, and he's been training for maybe about 5 or 6 months. And he started to notice they'd warm up, run around for 5 or 10 minutes, then they do a little technique, then they would spar. And every time he was noticing is, what he was explaining to me was, he was noticing that the technique portion was extremely short. They would spend about 5 or 10 minutes doing some kind of a warm up, and he said that a lot of times the warm up had nothing to do with the actual technique, which that's a little strange, but you never know. And they would teach the technique, and the technique, he said, portion would vary anything from 5 to 15 minutes. So depending, I guess, on what the instructor wanted to teach, would be for 5 or 15 minutes, and then the rest, like 30 plus minutes, was all rolling. And so he just thought that maybe that's how it was at this time, or that this one class, but he has started to been going for 5 or 6 months, and that's just kind of how the school does it. Unfortunately, that's actually how a lot of jiu-jitsu schools do it. Then I proceeded to ask him, do they have a basics program, or is this all together? And he says, no, it's an all-together class. And not that having an all-together class is bad, but unfortunately what happens is sometimes when the classes are all together, in my personal experience, is that the white belt or the new person is pushed to the back. The instructor is now trying to feed everybody else what they need. And what everyone else needs, typically if you're a blue belt or higher, is they want to spar and they want to roll and test the resistance. When really, in my personal experience as being a full-time jiu-jitsu instructor who's been teaching for over 8 years, the white belt needs more drill time than they do roll time in the beginning. His question basically was, is this how every school does it? Is this just how my school does it? Should I check out another school? Should I not check out another school? And really there's a lot to break down there. So here's my advice for you, Adam. My advice is, if you're seeking a school and you're really wanting to learn more technique and dive down deeper down the rabbit hole, it may not be a bad idea to maybe go try out another school. I don't know the specific area you live in. I don't know every school around there. I don't know if another school offers it differently. But for example, at the academy we train at, we actually separate the white belts and the upper belts. So, and it's not even really just white belt. We call it a basics and fundamentals class. So purple belt can come to that class, but it's the basics of fundamentals. So when a new person walks in, they know that they're learning the basics and fundamentals. It's going to be taught for a brand new person every single time. And then when they go to the advanced class, it's advanced technique, and they know that this is advanced class. So I would try to see if a school maybe offers that idea, because it sounds like you're really wanting to learn more of the technique. And unfortunately what happens is that takes more time out of the academy, because now they have to structure maybe another hour class for basics, and maybe they can't do that. Maybe they're just trying to shove everything into one, and you'll learn that way. I consider that kind of an old school way of learning. That's actually my academy when I first started training. It was just all together. It was just all upper belts in the room training together. And then my instructor thought about that and was like, man, it'd probably be nice if these white belts could just learn how to do shrimps and basic arm locks and basic positions, and then they get to come to the advanced class, and I don't have to teach them all this and worry about if they're catching up or not catching up, or if I'm going too fast. And so he was doing it more for an ease of his brain, And I think that's the most logical way to do it. I'm sure there's some schools out there that don't do it that way, and you probably have great explanations and reasons why. And it's all for you, Adam. Adam, this needs to be a decision for you. If you're wanting to get a more technique-driven school, you may need to maybe think about leaving. But if you really like the vibe and you like the instructors and you like the students and you think that you're going to learn things over time, hopefully that school's coming back and reviewing these techniques, which they should be. If they're not, then that's another issue. That if they're not reviewing these techniques, then you may not see them again. That's great if they're only doing 5. My personal opinion is if you're only doing 5 or 15 minutes of technique, that sounds to me like it's a lot of shotgun teaching, which means they're just or throwing stick. They're just kind of throwing some stuff and hopefully it sticks. Maybe they have a detailed curriculum where that technique's going to come back around again. But if it's a room full of upper belts, it's probably not, unfortunately. For Adam's needs, because to me he sounds like a technique-driven guy, that's probably maybe not the most optimal school for him to be in. Now it sucks because if the next school that he finds is optimum for him, it may be 20 or 30 minutes away. And so he may have to make that journey and drive. But ultimately, if that's what you're wanting, man, and you can do it, do it. Find the school that is great for you. And unfortunately, I think sometimes people go to a school and their first experience at a jiu-jitsu school is how every school is. And I'm here to tell you that is not true. There's ways that my school does it, and like literally we have 3 schools that are 2 or 3 miles away from us, and they do it completely different. And each person fits a school, right? But not each school fits every person. So you got to think about that. Most schools have some kind of a trial program that you can do, like a couple weeks, 30 days, whatever they have. So make sure you don't just visit one school. That's kind of probably really terrible of me to say because I run a school, but I really make sure that when students come in, they know what school that they're doing, because I don't want that student's exposure to jiu-jitsu think that this is the only way that it's done, and if they don't like it here, then they don't like jiu-jitsu at all. The last thing I want someone to do is quit jiu-jitsu. Even if it's not training at my school, I'd rather them go to another school and train as long as they're training jiu-jitsu. I don't care. I want you to freaking train jiu-jitsu. So that's my advice to Adam is maybe check out a few other schools and see what's going on. Now, if Adam was the person that was looking to roll right away and just do everything in sparring, and sparring is the most important thing to Adam, then he's probably at a great school, because it sounds like that's what's heavily driven at that school is sparring and not maybe as much of the technique and drilling portion. So that's a good school for a person like that. That's kind of the thing that we get at our school. The way that we do it is like I said, we have a basics and fundamentals class, and then we have an advanced class. In the basics and fundamentals, they have to go through that class. They have to do so many classes before they're allowed to go to the advanced class. And I've had students before tell me, hey, I went and checked out another school. They let me spar on the first day, and I really enjoyed that, and I want to go spar. That's fine. That's your choice. I personally think that hinders learning ability, sparring too fast and too quickly. Maybe that school has an expert way of sparring, and everyone there is so flow rolly, and they know how to spar and guide people, which I highly doubt, because that's never how it is. Usually it's a bunch of blue belts and purple belts just murdering the white belts. So that's just, to me, not a conducive learning environment. I enjoy the environment that we have built where people come in as white belts, they really learn the techniques, they get their feet wet, they have a semi-exposure to what they need to be doing, and then let them roll. And it's not long, it's about 40 classes, so that's just a couple months. That's like 3 or 4 months. So if you can just bite down on the bullet and then come in and roll, then that's great. But thinking about leaving your Jiu-Jitsu Academy is a serious choice, okay? It's a serious thing. You have to take into all these factors, Do I like the atmosphere? Do I like the staff? Do I like what's being taught? Do I like the location, because the location is close to my house? All these things are factors, but ultimately you have to figure out what's important to you. Is it rolling? Is it technique? Is it the closeness? You just may stay, I don't really like the people, I don't really like the instructor, but I really want to learn jiu-jitsu, so I'm going to stay because it's close. I don't know. Everyone is different. So thank you, Adam, for the question. Hopefully maybe this helped you guys out. If you're thinking about leaving your Jiu-Jitsu Academy, really think about why do you want to leave? What are you looking for? Make sure you're leaving for a good reason. And then don't make the same mistake of joining the new academy that you did joining your old academy, right? Really pick it apart, find some details. You guys can always shoot me questions. down in the comments below. If you have some advice I can have, I'd greatly help you guys out. Quick little plug here. If you guys like podcasts, I have a podcast called the Chasen Live Podcast. It's a lot of jiu-jitsu talk. I have guests on. It's an interview style podcast, so we get into some deep conversation. So check that out. You can find it where all podcasts are found. So thank you guys, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.